patient test. I have my patient here, Jimmy. We're going to start off by doing proper palpation, general inspection, a pupillary response test, an eye tracking test, a vision exam with the smell and eye chart, and then finally a retinal exam with the ophthalmoscope. Alright, so first we're going to start off with the appropriate palpations to inspect and observe the eye. So we're going to start by palpating the temporal bone. We'll want to feel for any point tenderness or pain to touch, anything that may feel odd as in a fracture would. Palpate the nasal bone as well, looking for those same signs and symptoms reported by the patient. We're going to palpate next the macula. Okay, we're going to go over to the frontal bone. And lastly, we're going to palpate inside the eye orbit, all around, feeling for any swelling, looking for discoloration, or any signs of a fracture. Okay, so once we perform the appropriate palpations, we're going to move into the general inspection. We're going to be inspecting the eyelid and the cornea. So we're going to be looking for any swelling in the eyelids, discoloration, any swelling, signs of scar pain on the eyelid. Also, we are going to be looking into the cornea, making sure that it's nice and clear, noting if there's any cloudiness or milkiness, any discoloration as well, like for example, a yellow coloring, which would be an example of jaundice, and also inspecting to see if there are any lacerations in the eye or the cornea. So once we have performed that inspection, we're going to move on into the pupillary response test. When we do this with a pen light, what we're going to do is, using a dim light in the room, check both pupils and check to see that every time I shine the pen light into the pupil that it constricts as it should in a normal response, and that it dilates back to when I put the light off away from the pupil. So we're going to start off with his left eye and move over to his right eye. And we're going to look to see that the pupils are equal and reactive to the light. Okay. I'm going to hold the pen light there for a couple of seconds and go one more time. Now we're going to compare it to the other eye. Do the same thing. Good. So his pupils constricted as they should. If they didn't constrict or they stayed in a dilated position, then that would be indicative of some kind of neurological issue with his eye or cranial nerves, and or it could also be a muscular or ligamentous problem with the ligaments and muscles up to the pupil, so constriction and dilation. Okay, so after the pupillary response test, we're going to go ahead and move into the eye tracking test. We're going to use our pen light again, and what I'm going to instruct the patient to do is to just look at the top portion of the pen light, and without moving his head, follow the pen light as I go in different directions. Okay? So I want you to just go ahead and follow the top portion of this pen light. Without moving your head, just using your eyes. Here we are checking that the eye muscles, there's 4, are all working appropriately and that they're moving the eyes in the direction that I want them to go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that was test number 4. Test number 5 is going to be the eye exam, the vision exam, with the smell and eye chart. So what I'm going to have my patient do is stand 20 feet away. Generally, we would have him stand 20 feet away from the eye chart at eye level and have them read the smell and eye chart. So, James, can you please cup and not cover completely pressed against your eye, but cup your right hand and cover your right eye so that we can test, so that we can test the left eye. And what I would have him do is start from the very top line and read from left to right each letter. I would have him continue to do this until he stumbles upon one or two letters. If he stumbles upon two letters, I would have him stop and I would read the numbers on the far left and mark that as his vision for his left eye. Afterwards, I would test his right eye by having him cup his left eye and do the same thing, but in this second portion, I'm going to have him read right to left and then stop where he stumbles upon two letters and then read, of course, the numbers previous to that line. If Jimmy here had a vision of 2015, that would mean that he can see those letters at 20 feet where most people can see at 15 feet, which is pretty good. Okay, and another thing in the athletic training setting is I would ask if they wear glasses or contacts during practice and or during competing game time, and also ask if there's been any changes in the prescription since then. Okay, so now we will move on to the very last test. We call the retinal exam test using the ophthalmoscope. Okay, so Jenny, I'm going to have you sit back down. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is appropriately adjust the settings to the ophthalmoscope for myself. Now, what I'm going to do is set my short focal length setting first, then my infinite focal length setting. Short focal length setting would be the green numbers that appear in this ophthalmoscope, and then they would be red for the infinite focal length. So I'm going to go ahead and test without using my glasses, making sure that the light intensity is on high. And I'm going to raise up the back of my hand. I'm going to raise up my hand to about this height, and here would be about 3 inches away from my face so that I can see the line appropriately in the back of my hand. Okay, so I found that my number is a 3 for my short focal length. Now I'm going to go into infinite focal length. I need to turn down the light intensity to low, go back to 0. This time, I'm not going to look at the back of my hand. I'm going to look at something in the room. I'm going to look at those numbers and see what my infinite focal length would be. I see very clear numbers with, again, a number 3 for my infinite focal length. So once I have those numbers figured out, I am going to have my patient appropriately sit, and then I'm going to adjust myself as well. So Jimmy, what I'm going to have you do is just go ahead and sit upright, and I want you to sort of stare into something so that when I examine your cornea and your iris and your retina, your eyes are not wandering. Okay, so what I want to make sure that I do now is that I let the patient know that I'm going to be real close. I'm going to pretend that I'm going to be examining his right eye, so that I would hold the ophthalmoscope with my right hand, put this hand over his forehead and my thumb over the eyebrow, and then look in closely like that. Okay, so now we're actually going to start the exam, and we're going to be examining Jimmy's cornea first with a short focal length. Okay, I'm going to set it to my short focal length number, which is number 3. Okay, and just go ahead and look straight ahead. Alright, so then I would do the same for the other eye and have him just stare at one place so that his eyes don't wander. Next, I'm going to test or examine his retina. I'm going to do his left eye. So I'm going to hold the otoscope with my left hand. Alright. So I was able to see the retina and the optic disc. Finally, I'm going to be examining the iris. Now with the iris, you want to set the numbers for the short focal length through a range of 15 to 20. So I'm going to use 20 just to get a clear view of his face. Alright. You have a nice hazel looking iris. Alrighty, so that concludes the eye examination.